right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Star Spangled Hammer, and I am here with Ms. Communication.
Hello.
We are going to give you bout 2 today, and that is between the St. Louis Gatekeepers and the Puget Sound Outcasts. It's going to be a wild and woolly one here, I think, as these two teams, no strangers to physicality.
Well, very true. No strangers to physicality. I think we're going to see a fairly good matchup here, though, with these two teams, despite the 2 and 7 seedings coming into this second game of the MRDA championships here in Sioux City, Iowa.
Yeah, don't let that record fool you. 2 and 7. That was a tough 2 and 7. All of their games were very close, and in fact, they almost beat the Gatekeepers just late last month in Portland. And if it hadn't been for a couple very opportune power jams, that Puget Sound likely would have skated away with the victory.
Up here?
So we're going to get underway here. On the line first for the Gatekeepers. That's going to be L7 Magnum PIMP, and he's going up against number 100 Scott Slamilton.
These two teams did face each other just last month on the first. Gatekeepers taking the victory 1-8.
Lineup for the Gatekeepers: number 1, the Saint; number 11, Debaucher's Prime; number 13, High Pains Drifter; 314, Double Excel; 32, Shane Bauer; 5150, Incredible Hulk; 618, Blood Zeppelin; 66, Screech Around; 68, Batwing; 73, Kyle Stark; 82, Percy Control; 86D, Wrecking Bill; 88, Short Knocks; and L7 Magnum PIMP.
And your lineup for Puget Sound here in this game, we've got number 100, Scott Slamilton; 11, Thunderstruck; 14, Ryrod; 19, Coriaclis; number 23, Quadzilla; 2468, Dilly Dally; 247, Hollywood; 35, Radillac; number 4 is Stand Aside; and number 53 is Speed Dealer; 55, Corporal Punishment; 56, Bonus Jonas; 64, Bowser; and 71, Grim Streeper.
So not quite the same roster that the Gatekeepers had in Portland, as they will be skating with Magnum PIMP, who was unable to make that Portland trip. However, they all will be without Neil Death Experience this weekend, as he was unable to make the trip. A tough weekend to miss. So we'll see how the Gatekeepers blocking core handles the absence of the heavy hitter in the form of Neil Death Experience.
Looks like at ShepMadeMan69 here, a little bit from Twitter. We've got Talk to MRDA on there. He says a shout out from St. Louis, go to work Gatekeepers and 618 Blood Zeppelin. If you want to talk to us, we want to talk to you. Tag us on Twitter at Talk to MRDA.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few viewing parties going on in St. Louis this weekend for many of the bouts, including the Gatekeepers, so I'm sure we'll be getting a lot of tweets from them as the day goes on.
I'm sure as well, and also I know my friends from the Drive-By City Rollers are watching from L.A. Good morning, boys.
Early morning for them.
Thank you.
What is it, only 8:30 there, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah.
-2, sir.
Yeah.
It's a long time to day drink. They can handle it, though.
I'm sure they can.
And we've got the 5-second warning out there on the track, Star Spangled Hammer.
That's right. The pack's tightened up as Magnum PIMP working his way to the outside. He's forced out of play. He's going to have to cycle back. Scott Slamilton working his way along the inside. He is out first. He's going to be your lead jammer. So a rough and tumble pack that's starting to spread out as Magnum PIMP still trying to break his way free initially. Scott Slamilton about to enter on his first scoring pass. Nice work by Percy Control to force Scott Slamilton out of play, out of bounds on the outside. Magnum PIMP still struggling to complete his initial pass, and that's going to make 5 points for Puget. So they strike first with a grand slam by Scott Slamilton.
Puget Sound doing a really great job of controlling Magnum PIMP. He makes it through, calls off the jam.
Anytime you can score points and keep Magnum from scoring points, that is a good jam. So now on the line, it's going to be number 11, Debaucherous Prime for the Gatekeepers, going up against Quadzilla LK, number 23 for Puget Sound.
We've got actually 2 of my favorite skaters that I love to watch skate out there, Quadzilla from Puget Sound and Magnum PIMP from St. Louis. I really could just watch them skate. Like couple skate, maybe?
Yeah, we might have some of that later. We'll see. So the jammers working their way through the pack, a tight pack. That is Debaucherous Prime, who is out front. He is your lead jammer. So the Gatekeepers respond with lead jammer, and Quad is down, but he has gotten back up. Debaucher's Prime trying to complete his first scoring pass. Meanwhile, Quadzilla is now free of the pack, having passed Nat King Kill, the foremost blocker of the Gatekeepers at the moment. Debaucher's Prime gets through. We'll see. Looks like he picked up 4, and I'm seeing a 0 there for Quadzilla, so 8-4 now in favor of Puget Sound as Dilly Dally takes the line. He did not jam very much for Puget Sound in that battle in Portland. He mainly used him as a blocker with only a couple jams, so a little interesting to see him out there early.
And joining him on the line, that's Shane Bauer, making sure that we say his name right by going with his government name.
Formerly known as Shango Fett. So a bit of a split pack here as Dilly Dally works against the Saint, Double XL, and Zombie Jesus, and Dilly Dally is free, and he is your lead jammer. Meanwhile, Shane Bauer with a nice move to the inside. He is now free as Dilly Dally just about to complete his first lap and start his first scoring pass. Nice move to the inside. Percy Control with a big hit right in the chest, nearly the chin of Dilly Dally, but he's able to pick up 4 points and then call that jam off. So another 4 points for Puget Sound. So next up on the line, it's going to be 68 Batwing for the St. Louis Gatekeepers and 100 Scott Slamilton back on the line for Puget.
At Barista Kane saying, hey guys, go Gatekeepers from Canage from Brisbane City, Australia. It's 1:30 a.m. there. Well, good evening to you.
That's some dedication there. Or just got finished with a heavy night of drinking. It could be either one, I guess.
Yeah, you know, finish your night with a little MRDA action. What's happening out on the track there, Hammer?
So Batwing at the front of the pack, just Radillac, and it looks like Ryrod left to beat. The pack is very split. Nat King Kill in the back working on Scott Slamilton. Finally, Batwing forces out a play, and that is going to be lead jam now. Scott Slamilton also free of the pack, about a quarter lap behind, but closing. Batwing, meanwhile, about to complete his first scoring pass. Picks up, looks like 1 back there as the Gatekeepers were able to wall in Hollywood Hendrick.
Score now 12-6. We've got a lot of changing back and forth with that lead jammer status. I think we're going to see that. I think Puget Sound really wants to keep it close and not show the 7th seed coming into the tournament. Probably that record that they had this year gave them a lot of track learning.
Yeah, these two teams, they're both kind of a staring contest. They want to see which one's going to flinch first, and then the other one will pounce. Meanwhile, that's going to be Speed Dealer jamming for Puget Sound against Magnum PIMP for the Gatekeepers. So very physical play by the Puget Sound defense, but Magnum PIMP is able to get free. Meanwhile, Percy Control forces Speed Dealer out, makes him cycle all the way back. Magnum's so fast, already on his first scoring pass with some nice moves on the outside. And that's going to complete a pass. Meanwhile, a full penalty box now for Puget Sound.
We've got a back block and a counterwise block sending those gentlemen in there. We've got Bonus Jonas and Corey Ackles both sitting in the penalty box for Puget. This means some good news for Magnum PIMP.
So we'll see how many Magnum picked up there. I think it might have been 8. I didn't get a good look. So we're going to have ourselves a lead change here. It's now 15-12 in favor of the Gatekeepers. But a full box all around, party in the penalty box, both teams with 2 blockers in the penalty box. So that's going to mean a small pack, which is going to really favor these 2 nimble skaters in the form of Debaucher's Prime for the Gatekeepers and Quadzilla for Puget Sound. Oh, nice work by Percy Control and Bled Zeppelin. I'll tell you what, if you've only got 2 defenders to put on the track, I'm sorry, that's not Percy, that's Nat King Kill. How I could mix those 2 up, who knows? But both jammers are free of the pack, but Debaucher's Prime is your lead jammer. Quadzilla about a half lap back. Nice move there by Debaucher's Prime to pick up the quick 4 points and call that jam off before Quadzilla could get back to scoring.
St. Louis lengthening their lead 19-12. Lengthen your lead on the track. The first, the best. Happy to fix the rest. SinCitySkates.com.
So we're going to get back to action here as Shane Bauer takes the line for the Gatekeepers, going up against Scott Slamilton for Puget Sound. 3-on-2 pack advantage in favor of the Gatekeepers. Shane trying to work his way. Both jammers working their way through tough walls. A 2-man for Puget wall, a 3-man wall, now a bridge for the Gatekeepers. But we're going to have, it look like a high block called on Shane Bauer. So the first power jam is going to go to Puget, and Scott Slamilton takes the reins. He is now your lead jammer, and he starts to make his first scoring pass. Gatekeepers doing a nice job spreading that wall out, but Scott Slamilton is able to work to the outside, picks up 5 points. So the first mistake goes to the Gatekeepers. We'll see how well Puget Sound reacts to this. Double Excel left to beat. Scott Slamilton is out, another 5 points. Referee rule enforcer holding up 5, big 5 points for Puget Sound. Meanwhile, the Saint comes back into play, trying to work his way to the front of the pack. Puget Sound having none of it as Thunderstruck works him over in the back. Saint moves up nicely. And now Scott Slamilton being sent off for a track cut.
That's right. He stepped in on the track on the straightaway right there, right before backing back up. And the entire Gatekeepers bench playing a little armchair referee.
Oh, they will do that throughout the whole game. You can bet on that. So Shane Bauer goes to work. He's going to have almost a full minute as he was already standing as Scott Slamilton took a seat. So now the Gatekeepers go to work, and really Puget was not able to score a whole lot of points. I believe they only picked up 10. So a real opportunity here for the Gatekeepers to negate. And now we're gonna swap jammers again as Shane Bauer is being sent off for a track cut.
Well, what we're actually going to have right here is Scott Slamilton is actually serving the previous penalty time. And so the jam is going to end, and Slamilton will continue serving that remaining penalty time.
So it's free skate time.
Exactly, because Shane Bauer, sorry, I practiced and then he changed it.
It's going to be hard.
Right, so Bauer's in the penalty box. He is serving the second penalty. So Scott Slamilton still serving that first penalty time. So we're going to have an actual jammerless jam here.
And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a fairly long one because that power jam had not gone on very long for Shane Goffett. See, now I'm doing it. Before he got sent off. So now Scott Slamilton returns. A 4-on-2 pack advantage, big pack advantage for Puget Sound. Nat King Kill forced to let him go, and Scott Slamilton is your lead jammer. Percy Control re-enters play for the Gatekeepers. He's being cycled all the way back by Ryrod. Nat King Kill doing a nice job up front. Scott Slamilton to slow him down, but eventually has to let him go. So 5 more points for Puget Sound, and Scott Slamilton's signaling to call that jam off as Shane Bauer stands in the penalty box. They want to take advantage and get this next jam started unopposed on the jammer line.
6-point lead right now for Puget Sound with 19 minutes left in the half. 5on5 Magazine is your go-to magazine for all things roller derby. 5on5 Magazine.
So dilly-dally on the line for what will remain of this power jam, a 4-on-4 pack. Both teams at full strength blocking-wise. Puget Sound immediately drops back to bridge for the re-entry of Shane Bauer. Meanwhile, Percy Control doing a nice job. He's going to cycle dilly-dally all the way to the back.
Missed opportunity there by Puget Sound to block the backup.
Well, not necessarily yet, as dilly-dally just shoots right through the pack, and he is still going to be your lead jammer. So a very impressive recovery there by dilly-dally. Puget Sound giving Shane Bauer so far all sorts of trouble.
Gatekeeper sending High Plains Drifter to the penalty box for a multiple player block.
So Shane Bauer being cycled back now by Chuck Hendrick. I do not believe he has even completed his initial pass yet. Dilly-dally, meanwhile, scoring. So almost a power jam here as he's pretty much skating uncontested, another 5 points. So Puget Sound taking control early here. Dilly-dally with another 5 points, and Puget Sound just hammering Shane Bauer at the moment.
With only 2 blockers out there for the Gatekeepers, they don't have much opportunity to play offense for their jammer. They're definitely focusing on trying to contain Dilly-dally.
So that jam comes to an end, but a huge jam for Puget Sound as they have stretched the lead now to 45-21.
13-point jam in that last jam for Dilly-dally.
So we're back in action here. Magnum PIMP going up against Quadzilla LK. 1 blocker in the box for the Gatekeepers as Hulk now returns to play, but Quadzilla is going to be your lead jammer. Magnum PIMP with just 1 to beat. Make that 2 now, and Magnum PIMP is out. However, Quadzilla about a half a lap ahead of him, so he's going to get a scoring pass here.
The Puget Sound folks have held that lead jammer status 4 times in a row, Hammer.
Yeah, right now this game has really been all Puget Sound other than a couple bright moments for the Gatekeepers. Puget Sound able to control these packs, control the tempo of the game, and have really basically exerted their will so far.
I oftentimes see that there's sometimes a little bit of momentum that comes from a high-scoring power jam or even just a power jam situation. And when you've got kind of 2 backed up there against each other, sometimes I see teams really rallying around that and just taking that forward.
So it's going to be Debaucherous Prime now going up against Scott Slamilton. Bit of a stretched out pack as they come out of turns 1 and 2. Whoa, big hit by Double Excel there on Scott Slamilton, cycles him all the way back. Meanwhile, Debaucherous Prime pretty much having to take on the entire Puget Sound blocking core, only helped by Saint. And just like that, but Scott Slamilton thinks he's going to get free. Instead, he gets a back block. So now a power jam situation for the Gatekeepers. But a lot of energy expended already by Debaucherous Prime. And now the Gatekeepers have themselves a goat. They're trying to bridge back, but he's just going to stand there and wait.
Full 45 seconds went on the clock before either jammer was able to break the pack. Debaucherous Prime, your lead jammer.
So Dilly-dally now cycled back and returned to play. Double Excel back there along with Zombie Jesus. Zombie Jesus wearing 13 today due to the fact that he forgot his jersey.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, no, it's okay.
We've got 5 up in the air, and the Gatekeepers look to build it back.
Debaucherous Prime trying to call that jam off as he takes a hit there. Looks like 3 more points.
8-point jam for Debaucherous Prime and the Gatekeepers. Score now 47-29. Puget Sound still on top, but plenty of gameplay with 14 minutes left in this first half.
Yeah, Scott Slamilton currently standing in the penalty box, so he'll be returning to play shortly. That allows Batwing to start this jam uncontested. It's Nat King Kill, Bled Zeppelin, Kyle Stark, and Quadable Hulk on defense against Radalac, Quadzilla LK, Chuck Hendrick, and Stand Aside. Multiplayer block called on Stand Aside, so he's going to take a seat. Meanwhile, Batwing is your lead jammer. Gatekeepers bridged back as Scott Slamilton returns to play. Nat King Kill at the back. And that's going to be a grand slam I'm seeing for Batwing. So big 5 points there for the Gatekeepers. Meanwhile, Nat King Kill, the last line of defense on Scott Slamilton. He's able to get free. So he has completed his initial pass. Meanwhile, Batwing threw again, but not. I think they may have picked 1 up there. 2 points for Puget Sound as Batwing called that jam off just a little bit too late.
Score now 49-38. We have a fantastically close game here early in the morning here in Sioux City. 13 minutes left in this first half, and plenty more action where that came from. If you want to talk to us, we want to talk to you. A tweet at Talk2MRDA.
So it's going to be Magnum PIMP going up against Dilly Dally. Dilly Dally's out first, and he is your lead jammer. 3-on-3 pack right now as each team has a blocker in the penalty box. Magnum PIMP now just working against Quadzilla. He is free. Dilly Dally about to commence his first scoring pass. Strong 3-wall up back by the Gatekeepers. Dilly Dally gets through. And Magnum PIMP sneaks in 2 points there at the end. So fast, Magnum PIMP able to close that gap and grab 2 points.
Put anything you want on a shirt. Wicked Skatewear will do that for you. Just let them know about your idea, and they'll do that. They also have some fantastic merchandise and other items for sale. WickedSkatewear.com.
So it's going to be number 100, Scott Slamilton for Puget Sound, facing off against number 11, Debaucherous Prime now. Still 3-on-3 pack. Oh, big tumble. Oh, man, what a mess there.
We got a skater cleanup on turn 2. Skater cleanup on turn 2.
Whole lot of not really a whole lot of penalties assessed, though. I don't see anybody skating off, so a lot of tumbling, but no penalties. Meanwhile, Scott Slamilton is your lead jammer. Takes a whip there from Ryrod, but that whip goes right into the Gatekeeper wall, and I think that might end up being a 0-0 jam here. Nope, 2 points there for Puget Sound.
Puget Sound losing Bonus Jonas right there at the end for a forearm penalty.
Naughty, naughty.
55-40 now, 15 points separating these two teams.
So Shane Bauer is going to take the line for the Gatekeepers, going against Dilly Dally, a 3-on-3 pack still. Neither team able to clean the penalty box out. The Puget Sound defense has been doing a really nice job against Shane Bauer, but looked like Bled Zeppelin drew a track cut call there on Dilly Dally. So now the Gatekeepers go to work. We'll see if they can take advantage of this power jam. Nice shadow crush there, but it might have been the Saint, actually. I think that might have dropped back and got that. Very tough and slow defense by Puget Sound. Unfortunately, that's going to draw penalties. That's one of the big obstacles of being on the blocking section. I'm sorry, the counterclockwise block. So Shane Bauer able to complete a 5-point pass. So more penalties on Puget Sound as the box fills up. Another 5 points there for Shane Bauer. So we got a tie game for us right now.
We've got we three friends in the penalty box right now as Dilly Dally standing.
So Shane Bauer picks up another 5 points and calls that jam off while Dilly Dally stands.
For those of you that are counting at home, that was a 20-point jam for Shane Bauer. Score now 60-55. Gatekeepers taking the lead, and we've got a little less than 10 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, you really cannot make any mistakes against this Gatekeeper squad. They will eventually make you pay. And we saw it right there as Shane Bauer with the big 20 points.
Jam called just as that power jam was about to end.
Batwing with some nice tightrope action on the inside. I'm sorry, that's Screech Around. I'm sorry. That is not Batwing. That's Screech Around out there for the first time today. More nice work on the inside. And that is going to be a grand slam right off the bat. Dilly Dally still working his way through his initial pass. Strong defense by the Gatekeepers. Dilly Dally now finally free. Screech Around, meanwhile, about to make his next scoring pass. Nice steal by Zombie Jesus. I do believe he's going to pick up the full 4 there. Nope, just 3. A hard-fought 3 as Hendrick forced Screech Around out there at the end of that jam.
8 points for the Gatekeepers. They're now up 68-55. And you know what I'm noticing, Hammer, is that the Gatekeepers are kind of ignoring the inside. Every time Dilly Dally has broken the pack as a jammer, it's been on the inside because the Gatekeepers were busy playing defense on the outside.
Well, you know, it's actually kind of funny. There was actually looking at some footage, Dilly Dally actually has a tendency to go to the outside, so they're actually forcing him to the outside, making him make that cut back to the inside where he might not be as comfortable. Magnum PIMP, your lead jammer.
Gatekeepers have held that lead jammer status 3 jams in a row thanks to that power jam earlier, Hammer.
Saint doing some nice work up front, but it looked like he got called for a penalty, a back block call. So he will go take a seat. Magnum PIMP trying to score some points before he calls that jam off. Looks like 2. So Dilly Dally now on the line for Puget Sound, facing off against Debaucherous Prime. A 4-on-3 pack advantage in favor of Puget Sound. The Saint, the lone blocker in the penalty box for the Gatekeepers. So nice force back. So it looks like Dilly Dally's out first, but there was a illegal pass, so he was not going to be your lead jammer.
It was a multiple player block on Nat King Kills, number 24. He'll go sit for a minute.
But Dilly Dally's going to get some points there, 5 points, as Puget doing a nice job sealing up Debaucherous Prime, not giving him any room to work. Debaucherous Prime with just Radulac and Hendrick to beat. Now suddenly goes to the defensive side, but he's forced out. So that's going to be another 5 points for Dilly Dally. So the big story so far is the Grand Slams that Puget's been able to score when not on a power jam.
Debaucherous Prime awarded that lead jammer status, for some reason delaying calling it off, allowing Dilly Dally to pick up another 4 points. 14-point jam without lead jammer status brings us to a 1-point game, Star Spangled Hammer.
Yeah, I kind of expected this was going to be a nip and tuck affair, and it is leading out to be that way.
St. Louis at 70, Puget Sound sitting pleasurably at 69.
Everybody drink. So Shane Bauer on the line now for the Gatekeepers. He's going up against Speed Dealer for Puget Sound. A 4-on-2 pack advantage now for Puget Sound. Puget Sound taking full advantage of these situations where they've been up in the pack. And once again, Speed Dealer is going to be your lead jammer. Gatekeepers now with 3 blockers as Nat King Kill has rejoined the fray. Kyle Stark sitting in the penalty box right now as Shane Bauer is still working up front. Speed Dealer on his first scoring pass. Big hit by Double Excel. Wow.
So the hit on a Bonus Jonas on the outside. Jam being called right now for, and I'm not sure, were they able to call the jam, or are we on an injury?
I'm not sure.
I think we're on an injury.
A lot of people were looking for a call on that, but it looked to me like it was the reaction that took his face into Double Excel, but that might not be the case. We don't exactly have the best angle up here.
I liked the bench coaches kind of cuddling him and trying to pull him off away from the track so it wouldn't get called for an injury.
Yeah.
It's like the snuggle pull. It works really well in junior derby to just, grab them and pull them off the track, but when it's men's derby, not so much.
Yeah, some of these guys need a tow truck or a forklift to get them off the track. Did look like he took a shot to the face, concerned that he might be bleeding as our EMTs attend to him.
Correct. We've got a little, we've got a Shane Bauer situation happening here on Talk to MRDA. Stephen Snickerdance commenting, really though, are there more and more derby players reverting to their real names?
That does seem to be the case. Obviously, Magic City, they skate pretty much under all their real names. That was kind of forced upon them a couple years back. Now, we also have some Puget Sound guys. Corey Oculus, he's skating under his real name. I believe there's a couple other But yeah, we are starting to see more of the Derby players drop their monikers in favor of their government names.
I've actually seen also a trend. You don't see as many cutesy numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, Wrecking Bill is 86th, right? But I don't know if that's the relative timing in the numbering thing, or if maybe men are just used to, well, I play a sport, I have a number.
Yeah.
You know, I play a sport, I have a name. But also, you know, for me, myself, I miscommunication for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because smarmy men hit on me at after parties, and I don't wish for them to know my real name.
Ah, very good. Very good. I like that.
Yes.
So it's almost like witness protection for Derby.
For me, it's guaranteed that the smarmiest man at the after party is going to hit on me. And it's, you know, they don't need to know my real name.
No taken. I won't hit on you at the after party.
The real news here with that shortened for an injury jam, that means that we've got a tie game now, 74-74, 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Folks out there who are Puget Sound fans, just so you know, I will try and make a rundown and get a update if we don't see Bonus Jonas return to play here after his 3 jams sitting on the bench. So we will make sure to try and follow up for you over the weekend if there are any injuries. Derby gods forbid.
So as we are about to return to play, Scott Slamilton on the line for Puget Sound, facing off against Batwing for the Gatekeepers. 4-on-3 pack advantage as Kyle Stark still sits in the penalty box for the Gatekeepers, so Puget Sound with the pack advantage. So a typical MRDA scrum start here, slow pack. Scott Slamilton working to the outside on Nat King Kill. Nice steal on the inside. Releases Scott Slamilton. He's your lead jammer. Batwing still working up against Hendrick and Quadzilla. He is now free. So Scott Slamilton through on his first scoring pass. He's going to pick up 4, I believe. Yep. Rulin Forcer holding up 4 points for Puget, so that's going to break our stalemate, 78-74. Sorry, it looks like they gave him... Okay, there we go. Score correction, 78-74 in favor of Puget Sound.
Gatekeepers losing Nat King Kill to the penalty box for his second multiple player block penalty. He had one a few jams back.
So just under 4.5 to go here in the first period of action, game 2 here at the MRDA Championships in beautiful Sioux City, Iowa. Magnum PIMP going up against Speed Dealer. Speed Dealer currently up front working against Percy Control and the Saint. Magnum PIMP stuck at the back at the moment, working his way through a stiff Puget Sound defense. Percy and Saint doing a really nice job up front, but they do eventually have to let him go. So Speed Dealer is going to be your lead jammer. Magnum PIMP still struggling to complete his initial pass. Finally gets by Thunderstruck. Speed Dealer about to make his first scoring pass. Just Saint and Percy to beat up front for those 2 last points. Saint and Percy, though, not going to be easy marks. Speed Dealer picks up. Looks like he got all 4 there. So another 4 points for Puget Sound on that jam for Speed Dealer.
Get him how you can. 82-74 right now. Puget Sound still on top. Pro Design Pads sponsoring the announcer table this weekend. I always need a little more padding, especially when I'm sitting right next to the track.
I'll tell you what, some of the hits, I'm feeling them up here, so we might need some padding here shortly.
Who's stepping up to that Ringster jam line now, Hammer?
That would be Dilly Dally for Puget and Debaucher's Prime for St. Louis. Oh, so both jammers cycled back, but Dilly Dally able to shoot through on the inside. He got lead. So Debaucher's Prime has completed his initial pass. Dilly Dally, meanwhile, starting his first scoring pass. Nat King Hill doing a nice job forcing him out of play as he calls that off. But not before Puget puts 3 points up on the board. It extends the lead to 11.
Dilly Dally has been lead. He's jammed 7 times in this first half, and he's been lead 4 of those 7 times. Pretty good percentage there. Of course, contributing to Puget Sound's 85-74 9-point lead over the Gatekeepers. not really what I expected, Hammer, with a 7 seed playing a 2 seed to have the game this close.
Well, you know what, though? Those seedings can be a little bit misleading at times. These two teams so evenly matched. Meanwhile, Shango Fett is your lead jammer, jamming for the Gatekeepers. Scott Slamilton out there for Puget. Oh, what's this? And actually, we're going to see a power jam here now for Shane Bauer and the St. Louis Gatekeepers, as Scott Slamilton was sent off for a track cut, and he was going so hot that he went ahead and made an entire other lap around. So a few extra seconds here on this power jam as we get into the closing moments of the first half. Puget with some nice defensive work. Corey Auchless forcing Shango Fett out of play. Shane Bauer having all sorts of problems with this Puget Sound defense so far today. They have done a really nice job containing him. Radillac out of play, so that's going to be 5 points for Shane Bauer. Quadzilla re-enters play from the penalty box, so a 4-on-3 pack advantage now for Puget, even though they are a jammer down. Again, nice defense by Corey Auchless, but also a nice seal by the Gatekeepers to not allow Corey Auchless to rotate back. So Shane Bauer calls that jam off, another 4 points.
14-point jam for the Gatekeepers, and that, folks, is a lead change. St. Louis now at 88, Puget Sound with 85. We have DVDs for sale of the whole weekend. Contact info@cornstalkers.com. That's with a K for those of you that wouldn't know that.
You just mean the bouts, right? Not the whole weekend. That could be awkward.
Well, yes, not the whole weekend,
Okay,
but we've got
okay.
$10 gets you a single bout, $25 gets you an entire league, and $50 gives you the entire championship.
Ooh, 50 beans. That's a good deal. So Magnum PIMP, the lone jammer, to start this jam, and he quickly gets lead jammer. The Gatekeepers bridge back for the impending return of Scott Slamilton. Nat King Kill all the way at the back to propose the first line of defense. Now a 3-wall. Magnum PIMP through for a 5-point pass. Scott Slamilton still attempting to complete his initial pass. Just Zombie Jesus left to get by. Nice work there by Kyle Stark, pushing Zombie Jesus into Scott Slamilton, forcing him out of play. Meanwhile, Magnum PIMP continuing to score as the regulation time has concluded, but this jam will go to its conclusion.
Or whenever he decides to call it off.
That's
whichever
right,
comes
yes.
first.
But why would you call it off when you're scoring points like Magnum PIMP is a big, big jam here to end the first half? Definitely gives Puget something to think about as they go to the locker rooms here at halftime. Nat King Kill still doing some magnificent blocking at the back of the pack, forcing Scott Slamilton out again. Meanwhile, Magnum PIMP with some nice moves around the inside of Chuck Hendrick.
That's 25, folks, if you're keeping track from home. 25 points for the Gatekeepers thus far.
What has been a very close game so far, suddenly here at the end of the first half, starting to break open a little bit as the Gatekeepers take full advantage of a power jam plus some very excellent defense afterward to really give themselves a bit of breathing room going into the half.
29 points for Magnum PIMP in that last jam. Score going into the half, 112-85. As I'm looking at my scribblings on my sheet of paper here, and then also my Ringster penalty tracker up here, it's very apparent to me that you're getting rallies around the other team's jammer going to the penalty box.
That's usually the case. That you help use that to build up a little bit of momentum, and then your team rallies and scores more points. And it's just one of the ways that Derby tends to work, is you see the points come in bunches. One team will score 20, next team will score 15 or so. They come in rallies.
Right. Well, but really here, we're at the half, and I could use a cliche, but I won't. I mean, 112-85, not a big spread for Puget Sound. They'll probably head back to the locker room and say pull it together, and it's apparent. I usually have a contract with my skaters, especially my jammers, that I like the look of their seat, and so it shouldn't be in the penalty box for too long. Otherwise, I get angry. Yeah,
Puget Sound definitely has to feel good, even though they're down, by the way they played this first half. They played a very staunch defense, and other than a couple lapses on power jams, they've really been able to contain this high-powered offense of the St. Louis Gatekeepers.
Well, and when you come into a tournament ranked 7th, or not, well, yes, ranked 7th and also seeded 7th, you've got something to prove.
Absolutely.
And when you're ranked 2nd, you've got something to defend, and so it becomes a battle of who's going to come jumping out of the starting gate. But the best news here at the MRDA Championships is that we have a very tight game going into the second half of this second game of the championships, 112-85. Again, I'm Miscommunication.
And I am Star Spangled Hammer.
And we're going to give you a little break, hopefully.
So, yeah, it looks that way. So don't forget you're watching us right here, the 2013 MRDA Championships on WFTDA.tv.
Hello. Look, we match. I think we should point that out. Little red and black today for the first day of the MRDA Championships. My name is Miscommunication.
And I am Star Spangled Hammer.
We're going to do a bit of recap from my unofficial scribblings. I'm doing that in case Casey Bomber is listening. She likes to hear that. My unofficial scribblings are made official by the folks who provided us with Rinkster. We're gonna talk about this. We went 25 jams in the first half. Puget Sound holding lead jammer status 12 of those 25 times, and the Gatekeepers holding it at 10. But the big thing that we're seeing here with the score the way it is, 112-85, is that 4 times total Puget Sound's jammer was in the penalty box. Now that was over multiple jams in some cases, whereas the Gatekeepers only giving up 2 jammers to the penalty box. So the power jam is the difference in the equation here in Sioux City for this game. High-scoring jams, we had Magnum PIMP, of course, with that 29-point bomber at the end of the first half, and Dilly Dally picking up 14 points. Really, Puget Sound's points that you see on the board there, the 85, are really made up of 4 here, 10 there, 5 here, 13 there. Really not any high-score bombing jams for them. Hammer, we had a question from someone out in the listening audience. What on earth is a shadow crush?
Yes, shadow crush. It's one of the common terminologies used here in the MRDA. It's when what happens is the blocker that forces the opposing blocker or jammer out of play, when one of his teammates drops back.
Oh, like his shadow.
Yes. That's to draw that track cut to make that blocker or jammer come back in behind that secondary player. And that's what's called a shadow crush.
Great. We're back to the action here in the second half. Debaucherous Prime up against Dilly Dally.
So Dilly Dally at the front of the pack with just, I believe that's Blood Zeppelin the beat. He does get free. He's going to be your lead jammer. Debaucherous Prime also out. Oh, no. Yep, now he's free. Dilly Dally making his way around for his first scoring pass, but already the Gatekeepers down 2 blockers, a 4-on-2 pack advantage in favor of Puget Sound. Puget Sound has been able to do a lot of damage, in these pack-up situations. The Gatekeepers having a real hard time keeping their blockers on the track so far today. So it looks like the full 4 points picked up there by Dilly Dally.
Score now 89-112. Gatekeepers on top. 29 minutes left in the half.
So the 5-on-5 penalty box is a little bit packed right now for the Gatekeepers. Meanwhile, Scott Slamilton is your lead jammer as he quickly gets through. Shane Bauer still working his way up through the pack, currently at the back of the pack. Scott Slamilton's so fast, he's already back around for his initial scoring pass. A nice juke to the inside. Runs over his own teammate as well. Shane Bauer now free, but Scott Slamilton's going to try to get that last point. Instead, he's going to call that jam off. Shane Bauer very smartly putting on the jets, trying to run some time off that penalty as Nat King Kill stands in the penalty box.
I hear ya.
So now on the Rinkster jammer line, it's going to be Dilly Dally for Puget Sound against Batwing for the Gatekeepers. A 4-on-3 pack advantage in favor of Puget Sound right now.
That pack advantage, of course, going to expire pretty quickly. As we said, Nat King Kill on his feet in that penalty box.
Tell you what, though, Dilly Dally has shown he only needs a few seconds to get lead jam. Some nice work by Wrecking Bill forcing Dilly Dally out, and now Bled Zeppelin and Kyle Stark force him all the way back, and that allows Batwing to get lead jammer. I'm not sure why he called that jam off.
I believe, I'm sure he thought that Dilly was already out.
Yeah, I think he thought that Dilly had already gotten out. So a mental error there for the Gatekeepers. We'll see if that comes back to haunt them here in the next few jams. Magnum PIMP now on the jammer line against Quadzilla LK. Still a 4-on-4 pack now. Both teams at full strength in the blocking core. Magnum PIMP is your lead jammer. Quadzilla also out. He's about a quarter lap behind Magnum at the moment.
You say that and he'll catch up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Magnum PIMP calls that jam off. And we'll see how many points he got. Quad got none. Looks like he picked up 3. Can't quite see. It looks like 4, actually.
Full 4 for Magnum in that last jam. 1:16.93, 26 minutes left on the clock. You want to talk to us? We want to talk to you. The MRDA Championships are free on WFTA TV this weekend, and you can talk to us on Twitter. Talk to MRDA.
So it's Scott Slamilton facing off against the Botchers Prime. Oh, boy. Scott Slamilton thought he would play a little defense, and he gets busted for it. Direction of play penalty, and that's going to give the Gatekeepers a power jam to Botchers Prime. Dangerous.
Scott Slamilton right now sitting on 4 trips to the box. And as a jammer, 4 out of 7 isn't a great stat to have when there's only 25 minutes left.
Yeah.
Or there's still 25 minutes left in the second half.
However, the Gatekeepers, with a lot of penalty trouble, they're going to have a hard time capitalizing on this as they only have 2 blockers on the track. Nat King Kill was sent off, but he was pushed back into play because of the full penalty box.
Big hit to the infield, and
Corey Aucklis looking for the penalty, but I don't believe he was behind, or he was already behind Debaucher's Prime when he went out of play. Oh, nice pirouette by Debaucher's Prime to finally get lead jammer. That was a hard-fought and well-earned lead jammer there.
We went almost 1 minute and 10 seconds before a lead jammer was determined in this power jam for the Gatekeepers. Great job by Puget Sound locking down the pack.
Yeah, they almost completely killed that power jam as Debaucher's Prime finally completes a first 5-point pass. Scott Slamilton is back in play and closing on Prime. I think Prime's going to be content to take the 5. Tries to eke out that last one, but I don't think he got it. No, he did not. So, disaster averted for Puget Sound. They're only giving up 5 points on what could have been a very nasty turn of events.
You have to really step up the defense when that power jam situation happens. We're looking at right now, we do have a little bit of penalty trouble for Nat King Kill. He has made 4 trips to the box as well. And Zombie Jesus spending 4 minutes in the box as well. I apologize, I don't have the complete list to tell you of anybody else, so there may be someone down on the screen that I can't scroll to that may be sitting on more.
So Screech around out there jamming against Speed Dealer. Speed Dealer has secured lead jammer. Screech still working as out of play is called on Puget, so they have to let him go. Meanwhile, Speed Dealer completing his first scoring pass, picking up 4 points as he calls that jam off.
That's Hollywood headed to the box on the out of play. Of course, WFTDA TV.TV hosting the MRDA Championships this weekend, all free this weekend for you. So
free is good.
Make sure to tell all of your friends. It's also all free thanks to the folks at Skate News, one of our tournament sponsors.
So we're back in action. Dilly Dally against Magnum PIMP. A big hit by Corey Aucklis forces Magnum PIMP out of play. Meanwhile, Dilly Dally working his way, just one to beat the Saint. The Saint not buying the head fake. Nice defense by the Saint, but Dilly Dally does get lead jam. And it looks like the Saint is being sent off. I think he was a blocking out of play. Meanwhile, we had a see what kind of scoring we had there. Looks like a 0-0 jam after all that rigmarole.
121-97. We've got 22 minutes left here in the second half of the second game of the MRDA Championships.
So next up on the Ringster Jammer line, it's going to be Batwing going up against Scott Slamilton, a 3-on-3 pack. Both teams with one blocker in the penalty box. That's Hollywood Chuck Hendrick for Puget and the Saint for St. Louis. Meanwhile, Batwing is going to be your lead jammer. Blood Zeppelin doing a nice job on Scott Slamilton at the moment. Scott's going to play a little defense now as he's sitting at the back of the pack. Nice work by Blood Zeppelin. Blood Zeppelin and Wrecking Bill up front. Scott Slamilton finally gets free. A big three-wall. Nice clean out by Kyle Stark. Allows Batwing to shoot through the gap and pick up 4 points. A really nice clean out there by Kyle Stark. Not the biggest guy out there by any means, but he's able to lay a mean lick on you when he needs to.
Got an official timeout being called. It appears that we've got NSOs hovering around. It looks like we're updating the penalty board.
Lots of penalties today. Gatekeepers I see with at least 3 guys with 4 penalties, all blockers. So far it looks like just Puget Sound with only 1 at 4, but that one being Scott Slamilton, one of their main jammers.
I will point out, because of the resolution on my screen and the inability to have a scroll bar, I can only see about 12 of the folks out there. So we may have some hiding down at the bottom.
Yeah.
The Saint right now, the lone attendant of the penalty box for the Gatekeepers, but that's his fourth minute that he's facing. We've got a lot of blue on your screen right now. Some of your officials volunteering their time this weekend for the tournament.
Gotta love the powder blues.
I have a lot of friends ask me why my love for roller derby is so great that I would spend out-of-pocket money to head all the way out to Sioux City, Iowa.
It's pretty simple, really. We're insane.
Well, no, I don't think it's really insanity. I mean, for me, it's getting the opportunity. Up until this point, because I'm kind of devoid of men's derby in Colorado, up until this point, most of these teams I've watched only on the internet, so it's great to watch them live.
So we're back in action. Shane Bauer going up against Speed Dealer. Speed Dealer at the front, just Percy Control left a beat, now being joined by Double Excel, and defensively, Speed Dealer does finally get free, and he's going to be your lead jammer. Shane Bauer still working his way through the pack. Quadzilla and Corioculus left the beat, now joined by the rest of the blocking core of Puget. Strong three-wall at the back of the pack, blocking Speed Dealer at the moment. Thunderstruck tried to break him free, not having much luck. Shane Bauer still trying to complete his initial pass as the packs come out of turns 1 and 2. Cycling back is Shane Bauer. Speed Dealer still working at the front of the pack. Double Excel with a nice bridge extending the block. Oh, big hit by Double Excel right square in the sternum, and then a second big hit. Double Excel laying the wood right now to Speed Dealer. Cycles him all the way back, the crowd loving it. Meanwhile, Shane Bauer able to get free. So some big hits send Speed Dealer to the turf, but 5 points scored there by Puget.
You know, I would say that Double Excel has enabled his macros for the second half. Puget Sound finally breaking that century mark, 102-125. We've got 19 minutes left in the second half.
So right now, the Gatekeepers enjoying a rare 4-on-3 pack advantage as Dilly Dally takes the line against Debaucher's Prime. The Gatekeepers have not been in the advantage in the pack very often. But Debaucher's Prime uses it to his advantage. He picks up lead jammer. However, Dilly Dally is right on his tail.
Debaucher's Prime has jammed 3 jams. This is his second lead jammer status. And, of course, Dilly Dally speeding by forces the call off.
Magnum PIMP heading out to center track to discuss the moves it deployed there by Dilly Dally. I don't think they liked it. I think they were looking for either a low block or a back block call on those kinds of moves. Specs Offender, one of the bench coaches for the Gatekeepers, also out there. Specs is about to get stuck at center track. So he's going to get a bird's eye view of this jam as Quadzilla takes on Magnum PIMP. Quadzilla forced out to the inside, has to cycle back. Magnum PIMP, meanwhile, still at the back of the pack, working against a 3-wall. And Magnum picks up a track cut. So power jam situation now for Quadzilla. And a 3-on-3 pack as Nat King Kill sits in the penalty box along with Magnum PIMP.
Looks like the gentlemen are going to get a little passive. Oh, Quadzilla coming in. He apparently avoided a cut by going sideways.
Again, good defense now by the Gatekeepers as the Saint works him over up front. Unable to stay in.
Great view there from Quadzilla being knocked to the infield by the Saint. He kind of shot in horizontal to the track so as to avoid his hips passing the Saint. Avoids that cut, picks up 5, and calls off the jam.
Yeah, it looked like Quadzilla was having a little bit of an issue with his skate, so he went ahead and called off the jam. Magnum PIMP still sitting. So still some time left there on that power jam, so Dilly Dally will take the line unopposed to start this jam.
Quadzilla may know a little bit about, repairing his skate, though.
A little bit.
Maybe some.
Just a little.
Yeah. Interesting thing, though, Puget Sound has only jammed Quadzilla 4 times the entire game.
Well, Dilly Dally right now getting punished. It's also Percy Control taking a big hit from Radillac. Yeah, you really aren't going to see Quadzilla jam very much anymore. He only gets maybe a half dozen to 10 jams a game now because they really don't need him. They've got a very nice jammer lineup. So Magnum PIMP returns to play. He's been held up by Radillac and Hendrick. Dilly Dally is your lead jammer. Corey Auchless doing a nice job forcing Magnum PIMP out to the outside. Percy goes down hard, and he is slow to get up, clutching, it looks like his left elbow. We'll have to watch that. Percy Control, one of the main blockers here.
Looks like a number 55 Corporal Punishment failing to stay in play in that Shadow Crush attempt. So Magnum not picking up the cut track, despite Corporal Punishment holding up his arms, thinking as such.
So meanwhile, Puget Sound slowly crawling their way back into this game, only down by 15 now. Definitely a momentum shift in Puget Sound's favor. And now they're going to go out there with the changeup, the Gatekeepers are, as they throw Screech around out there against Speed Dealer.
Puget Sound holding lead jammer status 6 out of the 12, so half of the time here in the game now. But the interesting thing to note here is that the Gatekeepers not holding it the other few times. So either lead jammer and it's done or whatnot, because the Gatekeepers only holding it 5 out of the 12 times here in the second half. Time frozen on the clock right now as we have a team timeout being called.
Also, what we've seen quite a bit so far this second half is every time the Gatekeepers do get lead jammer, the Puget Sound jammer is usually right on their tail coming out of the pack. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Gatekeepers blockers are having some real penalty problems today. These lower, being down in the pack is absolutely killing them so far this second half.
Speed Dealer and Screech around on that Ringster jam line.
Screech around taking the inside line, now bouncing the outside. Speed Dealer going right up the middle against the wall of Zombie Jesus and Wrecking Bill. Meanwhile, Screech takes the outside line, and he's going to be your lead jammer. So Screech around has been a nice change of pace here for the Gatekeepers. Meanwhile, Wrecking Bill and Incredible Hulk doing a nice job on Speed Dealer, forcing him to cycle all the way back, screeching around. Meanwhile, going to work, scoring some points. He's forced out of play. I think that's Thunderstruck that forced him out, so he has to cycle all the way back. Bonus Jonas also back there with him. Meanwhile, Speed Dealer's trying to get out. Saint does a nice job. Oh, but takes him just a little bit too far out of play. So the Saint's going to take another trip to the penalty box.
That's right, 5 for him now.
Still a lot of time on that clock left to have 5 penalties.
4 points put on the board by St. Louis, 129, 110, 15 minutes left in the half.
So Debaucher's Prime's going to take the Ringster Jammer line against Scott Slamilton for Puget Sound. 4-on-3 pack advantage in favor of Puget Sound. We've been saying that a lot today. Puget Sound has had the numbers advantage in the pack most of the game. Slamilton working against Nat King Kill and Double Excel. Oh boy. Multiplayer block called on Nat King Kill, and he is walking a fine line now. Meanwhile, Scott Slamilton out free. Here's your lead jammer. Debaucher's Prime still working his way through the back of the pack. Working against Corporal Punishment. Now moving up into Radillac and Chuck Hendrick. Oh, nice tightrope work.
We've actually, what we're looking at here is we've got a multiple player block and a cut being called on Nat King Kill. We have all of the letters filled up in his box.
Oh, boy.
So I should expect to see an official timeout being called. Oh, wait. Oh, someone got confused. Sorry about that. We are sitting on 6 of 7. There is not a cut track on there. Just a multiple player block. 4 multiple player blocks for Nat King Kill in the course of this game. I think, Hammer, he needs to stop holding hands in the pack.
Well, he is a touchy-feely type, so. So we're back in action. Dilly Dally jamming for Puget Sound against Batwing for the Gatekeepers. Looks like a 4-on-2 pack advantage for Puget, and Dilly Dally takes advantage, and he is going to be your lead jammer. Batwing still working against Quadzilla and Ryrod. They eventually have to let him go, so he is now free. Dilly Dally trying to make his first scoring pass. Picks up the 4 points, calls that jam off, does Dilly Dally.
Dilly Dally has jammed 6 times in this second half, and 4 of those times he's held lead jammer status. 10-point game now, 129, 119, a little less than 13 minutes on that period clock.
So we're going to have Magnum PIMP on the line now against Speed Dealer. 4-on-3 pack advantage for Puget Sound as Nat King Kill still sits in the penalty box.
Special thanks to Road Rage. Thanks for the compliment. I enjoy calling with my friend Star Spangled Hammer, even though this is the first time we've done it. And if you want to tell us anything or have any questions, talk to number 2, MRDA.
So Magnum PIMP up front, just a couple defenders to beat. Now just Radillac. Oh, gets taken down. Was able to get up quickly. Oh, nice move to the outside. Magnum PIMP is finally your lead jammer. Stiff defense put up by the Gatekeepers as they have stymied Speed Dealer so far this jam. Nat King Kill up front. Nat King Kill playing the dangerous game, sitting on 6 penalties. Magnum PIMP with a nice hit on Corporal Punishment is then forced out himself and calls that jam off.
0-0 on that jam, but I believe Magnum feels that he is a jam ref right now.
Well, Magnum PIMP, a very experienced ref, so, and now Specs is going to go out there to argue, but usually once a ref holds up a 0, you're not going to get any points.
Yeah, very rarely do I see positive points on a points review when there were 0 awarded in the past.
Now we're going to have, looks like an official review.
Oh, it looks like 1 point.
Oh, so we're going to, okay, so we are going to see.
1 point awarded to White.
All right.
That wasn't the 3, though, that Magnum was waving around.
No, it was not.
I got 3. I got 3.
Yeah.
I want to see someone like put up all 10 of their fingers and see if they get it. I got 10.
On one pass. It could happen. I mean, it sure it can.
I'm sure. I think that would be called the Sugar Crush.
Yes. So Dilly Dally now jamming against Debaucher's Prime. Very tight scrum-like pack. Corey Auckland's doing a nice job forcing Debaucher's Prime out to the inside. That makes him cycle all the way back. Meanwhile, oh boy, another shadow crush as Kyle Stark dropped back after Zombie Jesus forced him out. So now Debaucher's Prime goes on the power jam. Wrecking Bill there, now sent to the penalty box.
He's got a low block being called on number 19, Corey Ackles.
So Debaucher's Prime, now your lead jammer. He's going to start his first scoring pass. He has to get through Quadzilla, Chuck Hendrick, and Thunderstruck. No easy task. But there it is, 5 points. I'll tell you what, you can't say enough about this Puget Sound defense. They have really tightened it up every time they've given up a power jam. Really limiting the points other than that jam right there at the end of the first half in which Magnum went off for 29 points. Puget Sound's power jam defense very strong.
Score now 135-119. St. Louis pulling ahead, but 10 minutes remaining in this second half. The Saint now sitting on 6 of 7 penalties. And, you know, I've still got, you know, I said Scott Slamilton and Corey Ackles both sitting on 4 right now, and also Bonus Jonas, but no real movement on the penalty side for Puget Sound, Hammer.
Yeah, meanwhile, Batwing is your lead jammer as he is currently jamming unopposed. Dilly Dally now standing in the penalty box, so he'll be returning shortly. Only Bonus Jonas left to beat. Batwing with a nice little spin move to the outside. Picks up another 5 points, a grand slam there for Batwing. Meanwhile, Dilly Dally shoots through the pack quickly as he returns. A little bit of a defensive lapse there by the Gatekeepers. Batwing calls it off, I think, in just the nick of time. I see 2 more points for the Gatekeepers, no points for Puget. So a very well-timed call-off, almost too late, but gets it just in time there by Batwing.
St. Louis sitting at 1 in the answer, and Puget Sound at 119. You know, I actually just had a picture of a watch party being put up on our Talk to MRDA feed. I want to see your watch parties because I want to imagine the nice comfy couch or the sweet bar that you're sitting at. So share your watch parties with us at Talk the number 2 MRDA.
So it's Shane Bauer going up against, I almost said Shane Goffett. Shane Bauer going up against Scott Slamilton. Scott Slamilton forced to the back of the pack. Bled Zeppelin, the first line of defense at the back of the pack there for the Gatekeepers. Shane Bauer now sealed up to the inside. That allows Scott Slamilton to get out first and grabs lead jammer. I'll tell you what, the Puget Sound defense has really had Shane Bauer's number so far this game, really limiting what is usually a very prolific scorer. Meanwhile, Scott Slamilton picks up another 5 points.
Great job in the pack there by Corey Ackles, multitasking, blocking and assisting his jammer at the same time, allowing Scott to pick up that grand slam.
Nice move by Shane Bauer to finally get free. Scott Slamilton picks up another 4 points and then calls that jam off. So Puget Sound not going away. They're only down, I believe that was at 14. My announcer math is terrible. So I believe that's 14.
Yes.
Yay.
I have just figured it out on my fingers.
I was right. I was about to take my shoes off.
1 in the answer still for St. Louis, 128 for Puget Sound. 7 minutes left in this game. Quadzilla and Magnum stepping up to the Ringster Jam line, Hammer.
That's right. A battle of monsters on the midway. Magnum PIMP at the back of the pack trying to work on a staunch Puget Sound defense. Meanwhile, Double XL with a big hit on Quadzilla and is able to draw the track cut. So now Magnum PIMP goes on the power jam, and I tell you what, when he goes on the power jam, it's like he puts on a whole nother show. He will flip a switch and he is going to go to work.
I was going to try to sing the little song, but I can't quite get the guitar in my head the right way for that song.
You want to hear the Magnum PIMP theme?
We've got 5 up in the air for Magnum PIMP and the St. Louis Gatekeepers.
I'll tell you what, this could be the nail in the coffin if the Gatekeepers can play clean from here on out. I know there's over 6 minutes left, but this is going to be really hurt the psyche of Puget Sound. a little bit of a shade of what happened to them back in Portland just last month, where they had the game in hand and let it slip away. Now the Gatekeepers going to have an opportunity, and a nice, smart move by Magnum PIMP to draw that directional block call. So Magnum PIMP starts to step back and says, oh, that's going to be a track cut, so I'm just going to call this off.
Team timeout being called by Puget Sound. Score right now 157-128. Just over 5 minutes left in this game. Puget Sound really bringing the defense. I've noticed that Puget keeping the Gatekeepers very low-scoring power jams as opposed to the last half where we saw some big points being put up. I mean, only 10 points for Magnum in that jam with Quadzilla still cooling his... Oh, wait. Quadzilla was back in. Sorry, I didn't realize the power jam has ended. Sorry.
You know what, though? Not to take anything away from Puget Sound's defense, but the Gatekeepers blockers pretty much this entire game have been sitting in the penalty box. So a lot of the time, Puget has had the man advantage, and they have taken full advantage of that player number advantage.
Well, you know, if you see a way to win, take advantage of it.
If they're going to give it to you, take it.
It's just like at the after party. See a way to win, take advantage of it.
That's right.
See, it's just a life lesson.
That's how I attack the bar.
Exactly. 157-128, and we're back in play with 5 minutes left in the half. On that Ringster jam line, we've got Hendrick jamming for the first time in this game, and he's up against Screech Around.
So Puget now looking for a change of pace as they put Hendrick out there. Oh boy, we've got a lost jammer panty. Screech Around finally informed of it. He's going to skate back and grab it.
Crowd yelling and screaming. They're playing armchair ref right now.
Yeah. Screech Around forced out of play. Still no lead jammer as the Gatekeepers defense doing fine work on Chuck Hendrick. Now only Kyle Stark to get by. He finally gets free. 5 points for Chuck. Meanwhile, Screech Around forced to the back of the pack. So maybe this change of pace, just the injection of morale the Puget Sound team needed. So that's going to be another 5 points for Chuck Hendrick. And suddenly that lead is dwindling. Still a lot of time. Screech Around still trying to complete his initial pass. Finally gets by Radillac. Meanwhile, Hendrick about to start another scoring pass. Hulk, Incredible Hulk looking for a Soul Crush call, did not get it. So a big jam there. And just like that, only 15 points now separate these two squads again.
That's right. St. Louis 157, Puget Sound 142. Hey, Miss Mia's Makovich, that's a really great breakfast you've got going there, and I certainly hope that orange juice has a little bit of champagne in it. She says, let's go Outcast. It's an early morning in Washington as well.
Yes, it is.
You know, really, I wish I could brunch every weekend day with a championship tournament experience, this tournament experience on WFTDA TV.tv all weekend long, and it's free.
Ooh.
I always like free. It's my favorite F word.
Free is good. So I got a feeling that this review is about that track cut that they wanted called on Hendrick there at the end of that jam. The crowd seemed really into the call as well that was not made, so I didn't really get a good view of it here, and obviously the refs didn't agree, so we'll see if the review overturns this.
You know, sometimes the crowd's into it, but, you know, zebras are going to go their own direction, so we'll have to see if the call is overturned or not.
That is why they're wearing the striped shirts and the fans are not.
I think the other thing when you're playing armchair fan, I don't think people really realize that when you're sitting even just a little bit above that hip level, you're going to think that hips are passing or crossing or being somewhere when they're really not. So I urge everybody that loses their caca on the sidelines yelling at a ref to put some skates on and take a look at those hips. Oh, and look, we've got Justin, we've got a Cowtown Butcher out there in the audience. We've got a pretty sweet audience in attendance here.
He looked utterly fascinated with the game.
Oh, puns. It's a good thing Shakespeare used puns,
Yes.
Hammer. It's a good thing Shakespeare used puns.
So Batwing going up against Scott Slamilton, a big 3-wall up front. And yeah, we're going to see some multiplayer blocks called there. But it might have been a good penalty to take, as that has allowed Batwing to get to the front of the pack. Just has to get past Ryrod and Quadzilla. But there's Scott Slamilton shooting through, and he is going to be your lead jammer.
Percy Control actually headed to the box for that multiple player block. Don't worry, folks, though, that's only his 3rd penalty of the game.
So Scott Slamilton now all the way back around, making his first scoring pass. Meanwhile, Batwing still trying to get through, working on Ryrod. Scott Slamilton with 5 more points.
10-point game, ladies and gentlemen. 10-point game. Do not knock over your orange juice on the coffee table.
Yes. Oh boy, Radillac with some nice defense. So suddenly Puget Sound making a run here. Although Saint with some great defense of his own. He's trying to send Scott Slamilton back. Scott Slamilton aware of the time. So he's going to call that jam off so he can reset. But now only 10 points separating these two squads. And looks like Puget's going to take a timeout here.
157, 140.
Oh, nope. St. Louis called it before.
Yeah, 157, 147. St. Louis with that timeout. 10-point game. You know what, Outcast fans, let us know how you're feeling about this rally here late in the second half. Are we going to go for the upset? Talk number 2, MRDA, right now, folks.
So don't forget, we got a whole lot more Derby action coming up for you. Right after this at 12:30, we have Portland taking on the New York Stock Exchange. And then after that, we have at 4:30, Magic City versus Mass Maelstrom. So a whole lot of really good matchups still to come here today at the 2013 MRDA Championships, brought to you by WFTDA.tv.
Star Spangled Hammer, it looks like our guess was indeed right. That former official review that we watched in the last jam, the Gatekeepers called the official review. They felt that the blue jammer had re-entered the track after being knocked out by a white blocker in front of an adjacent blocker that he had not passed. The jam ref confirmed that the blue jammer, that's a Puget Sound's jammer, re-entered the pack before the Gatekeepers blocker had gotten behind him. So therefore the call was not a call, and the not call does stand. Dilly Dally up against Debaucherous Prime.
Big hit by Hendrick on Prime. Got some whistles going off. Somebody's getting sent off. That's a Quotable Hall. Kyle Stark trying to defend Dilly Dally, but Dilly Dally with a nice tightrope walk. Meanwhile, Debaucherous Prime still trying to get free.
10-point game, and right now Puget Sound controls that clock. We've got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on that period clock, Hammer.
Oh boy. I'll tell you what, this has been one heck of a game. And Puget Sound right within striking distance, sitting right in the back pocket of the Gatekeepers right now.
157, 151. We've got a team timeout being called for Puget Sound, probably so they can bring it all together.
Yeah, that will be their, I believe, their 3rd and final timeout. So that could be interesting to see if that plays into things here. If they get tight, they're not going to have any more timeouts to stop that clock.
Hammer, we've got a welcome to Pioneer Valley Derby, one of the original teams in the MRDA. They're having a little watch party of their own, and I'm sure they're losing it.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Hopefully they've got lids for their drinks.
Sippy cups all around.
We've got Sarah Vance posting on Talk to MRDA, best excuse for getting door-to-door religious missionaries to go away. I'm trying to watch roller derby.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I'm going to set
You
that
could just
aside for later.
Put a sign on your door all weekend that says roller derby saved my soul, and just don't answer at the door.
So now an interesting situation here is the Gatekeepers will actually be up a man in the blocking core. A 3 on... So a 3-on-2 pack advantage as Magnum jumped the gun a little bit there.
We're just coming back from the timeout here, just so you know.
So Magnum just bulls his way through, gets past Thunderstruck, and he is your lead jammer. Meanwhile, Scott Slamilton stuck at the back of the pack, double excel on his way off.
The jam clock and the period clock right now about even, Hammer.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Magnum can do some work here, if he will just run the clock out. Unfortunately, he's forced out, and he's going to call that jam off. Magnum having some words with Rule Enforcer. I think he asking for a clarification on something.
Looks like we've got 3 points for Magnum. 160, 151, 120 left on the period clock, but it's still running.
And Puget has no way to stop it. They used that last time out. So a 2-on-2 pack. Now the Gatekeepers called a timeout. An interesting
timeout, probably, maybe heading for an official review. Maybe? Nope. Just a regular old team timeout, looks like.
Of course, they did look like they waited till the very last second to call that timeout to run time off the clock. Specs offender, no stranger to bench strategy.
Well, you know, sometimes procrastination in the game of roller derby works.
Sometimes. Not very often, though. A slim 9-point lead here. Gatekeepers looking to avoid the upset. I mean, upset really on paper only, as these two teams are very evenly matched.
Welcome also to members of the RC Riot watching the action here on WFTDA.tv as well. And, you know, some folks that won't sell it unless they've skated on it are the folks at SinCitySkates.com. They're the first, the best, and happy to fix the rest. SinCitySkates.com.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to Knox and all the rest of the Como Derby dames that I'm sure are watching at home. I know they were planning some watch parties this weekend.
160, 151. If you weren't awake on the West Coast, now you are. 9-point game between 7th-ranked Puget Sound and 2nd-ranked St. Louis Gatekeepers.
These two teams have traditionally played each other very tough. Not really surprised by how close things are right now. These two teams tend to come down to nail biters. And what's going to be interesting here is, looks like they're going to switch up. They had Batwing out there with the star on, but after the timeout, they're going to put Debaucher's Prime up against Dilly Dally. Interesting matchup here is I'm sure they wanted to put their most nimble skaters out there because of the fact there's only 4 guys in the pack.
Looks like we've got an official review being called for Puget Sound.
I'm wondering if they're questioning how many points Magnum actually got on that.
Could be. I left my psychic at home.
Yeah.
Hammer, I'm sorry.
Where's Miss Cleo when you need her?
Ugh.
She should be calling us if she's so psychic.
She's in prison right now, isn't she? For tax evasion?
I guess she should have saw that coming, huh?
She probably did. 9-point game. Timeouts turning into official reviews for other teams. I don't know if we're just trying to take a breather and maybe just do a points review. Yeah,
I think they're kind of. I have a feeling Puget might be using that official review as kind of a timeout.
Yep, there is a 1 points review
per
game for each team.
So here we go, and what may be the very last jam of this very tight bout. It's going to be a 2-on-2 pack. Dilly Dally versus Debaucher's Prime. Oh. So who will flinch? Dilly Dally, only one to beat. That one is Matt, and the Dilly Dally gets the lead jammer.
Nope.
Oh,
Dilly
my
Dally
word.
with a forearm, my friends. A forearm.
Oh, wow. So now Debaucher's Prime is simply going to run the clock out. Wow, not the way you want to see a game end, but, you know, Puget this whole game had been, you know, teetering on the precipice with these penalties.
I guess my psychic was right that I left at home that dialed it in. Puget took the official review to confirm the number of points scored during the last jam. The captain felt the jammer passed at least one white blocker, and that we've got the jam being called. And lots of yelling.
Yeah, they went ahead and called the jam. There's no way for Puget to stop the clock. So this one is going to come to an auspicious end. And that's going to do it. Wow.
With 3 points in that last jam by Debaucherous Prime, we've got an unofficial final, 163-151, St. Louis on top.
Boys from St. Louis giving me a heart attack.
If you want to be more official and not talk to us, but talk to the folks that run MRDA Champs, their Twitter hashtag is MRDA Champs 2013. Now, we're not going to see that, though, up here in the announcer booth. Look, our pretty faces are on the screen. 163-151. We're waiting for it to be made official, but it appears that the Gatekeepers have barely held on to this game and taken the win.
Yeah, Puget Sound gave them everything they had. Great defense by Puget Sound.
Really, that's kind of the, out of the starting gate, Puget Sound with huge defense, but also not much penalty trouble. I'm not seeing anyone on my list here sitting on more than 4 penalties for the game.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Gatekeepers, they're going to have to clean that play up if they want to continue to advance in this tournament. You cannot have that many people sitting on 4 and 5 and 6 penalties and expect to win.
We've got the Gatekeepers going around for their congratulatory hand slap, and also the Puget Sound folks, and we've got a final 163-151 in this second game of the MRDA Championship.
Yeah, we're going to get a interview here with one of the Gatekeepers here shortly, victory interview, and we will then be coming back here shortly for Magic City versus Portland. No, I'm sorry. That's not right. Portland versus New York.
Portland versus New York, yes.
So now Puget taking their victory lap for WFTDA.TV and the MRDA Championships. I'm Star Spangled Hammer along with...
And I'm Ms. Communication, and we'll see more of you this weekend. Make sure you're tuning in at WFTDA.TV.